Hi everyone, Comic Reviewer here. This time reviewing on Ghost Rider, issue number 1. Now, as you know, this follows the Danny Kutch version of Ghost Rider after the whole Johnny Blaze thing. So let's get on the story. It mainly starts off how at a cemetery, Danny's talking with his sister saying, "Bob, I'm dead if Mum finds out that I brought you in here tonight." "Chill out, Dan. I'm not gonna tell her. Some maniac will probably disbarrel us long before Mum can ground us." Now, I'm actually surprised that there is no security and no one patrolling the cemetery. I mean, shouldn't you, I don't know, have security make sure that no one's up to anything? And just then, some people scare them in Halloween masks, and like, "Hey, cutie, what you got in this purse of yours? Hey, maybe a treat so we don't play a trick on you. Hands off the camera bag, you little bimbo." Yeah, and that's Super Sister action. And so they get away, but just as they are investigating something, they see someone in a costume with some guys and guns saying, "Back off, you costume clown. This here belongs to the Kingpin. Non taken." And so he ends up getting shot and ends up strangling them. And it's just like, no! And then this masked villain is like, "Up there, that girl. What was that? She's seen my face. Kill her." Now, how dumb do you have to be to give your location by screaming like that? I mean, and 2, why didn't Danny just jumped in the way to, make sure that she didn't take the bullet or anything? And he's like, "Bob!" And so they mainly get away, and one of them sees the suitcase, and they mainly go off to get it. Well, Danny mainly sees that the Ghost Rider bike, and mainly something happens where he bonds with it. And like, the ground is shaking. That glow, what is it? Who is it? "I am the Ghost Rider. I am the spirit of vengeance." And they even threatened to kill one of the people who were mainly trying to steal from Danny, and like, "Louisa will die. You'll die first, freak." And so Ghost Rider puts them down, and he's like, "You must suffer for the pain you have sought to inflict. The pain felt by 1,000 innocent beings." And so he does his old famous penitent stare. The police show up, and they're like, "The girl needs medical attention." And mainly throws one of them down, and one of them points the guns. And you'd think the police would probably, I don't know, back off from this one, because technically this is Marvel. They're not dealing with normal crooks. And they start firing at him. And like, "I will not be stopped. Do not try to follow me." And so they mainly get Danny's sister to a hospital. And Danny mainly escapes the area and makes a clean break for it. And he's like, "Innocent blood has been spilt tonight, awakening me from my long sleep. Vengeance must be delivered. Vengeance by my hand. By my hands?" And so, meanwhile, the same guy from before interrogates one of the guys for their failure and talks about the Ghost Rider, and even kills one of them. So meanwhile, Kingpin is training in his area and says, "Finish me. Do you really rely on your katana too much, Kenji? Any weapon can be taken away and and throws him away. And meanwhile, the girl heads to where her gang is, and they think it's going to be a suitcase of drugs or money. Seriously, why would you want drugs? I mean, money I can understand. And they realise that something's dangerous in these chemical things. So Danny makes it back home, to the hospital, and they mainly wants to see his sister if she's alright. And he says, Bob, I hope you can hear me, because I need you now more than I ever did before. About last night, I tried my best to protect you. It just wasn't good enough. I'm sorry, you have to get better. Now, when you think about it, this is technically his sister's fault, because one, she screamed, "No!" in the middle of a gang war. Seriously, you're not to blame here, Danny. So he decides to try and make things right, and decides to go out as Ghost Rider again. So meanwhile, while one of the street gang members get assassinated by the Hand, and they try gunning them down, Danny shows up to get in Ghost Rider mode, and he's like, "No!" and gets into action. And Danny being like, "Your kind will quickly learn that I am not easy harmed child killer." And so he ends up killing the ninjas, and he even goes against one of them, roping him up, ends up hitting him with the ninjas, and they try blasting him with no success. And afterwards, Danny decides to take them to a hospital. They're like, "The boy needs help, be it bringing a doctor." And so they need help, and so he walks off with his fiery skull in the middle of a hospital. Afterwards, one of the people who points out that they've had a guard monitoring her door to make sure nothing's going to happen. And so he says that Ghost Rider is a menace, and Danny believes that Ghost Rider is meant to be a hero. So Captain Doran, in other words, believes that Ghost Rider is a menace, even though Danny believes that he's a hero. So he talks with his sister again, and hopes that she'll get better. So meanwhile, Kingpin gets ready for his organization. Well, things start to turn edgy. So yeah, this is the story of Ghost Rider. What do I think? It's definitely not bad for a first issue, and it does pretty well. I kind of give this a good thumbs up. Still good, and still alright. So, Comic Reviewer here, signing out.